The Sweet Survival Trap. How your brain's ancient alarm system got stuck on hungry mode. Produced by Vita Choice Ltd. Planned by, Benny created by, Claude and Dawn Company. Philosophy, charity not profit. Science over suffering, wisdom for well-being. G'day everyone. Right, let's have a yarn about something that'll blow your mind, and might just explain why you've been acting a bit mental after smashing that second Tim Tam. Now, before you think I'm here to lecture you like some judgmental nutritionist with a clipboard, let me be clear. I'm not here to guilt trip you about that lamington you had this morning. What I am here to do is share some fair dinkum science that could change the way you think about sugar forever. The caveman in your kitchen. Picture this. You're a caveman, or cavewoman, equal opportunity here, mate. It's 50,000 years ago, you're wandering around what's now probably Bondi Beach, and food is bloody scarce. Your tribe hasn't eaten in days. Suddenly, you spot a tree dripping with wild honey. Your brain goes, right, emergency mode activated. And here's where it gets fascinating. When you eat that honey, which is loaded with fructose, something extraordinary happens in your cells. Fructose actually lowers the energy, ATP, in your cells, triggering a survival response similar to what occurs during starvation. This activates an evolutionary-based survival pathway that stimulates foraging behavior and the storage of energy as fat. Think of it like this. Your brain deliberately makes you feel like you're starving, even when you're not. Why? Because this survival response stimulates risk-taking, impulsivity, novelty-seeking, rapid decision-making, and aggressiveness, all to help you secure food as a survival response. Bloody brilliant, right? Back then, this made you a champion forager. You'd become hyperactive, impulsive, aggressive, whatever it took to find more food and stuff your face before the next famine hit. The problem. Your survival switch is stuck. Here's where things get dodgy. While the fructose pathway was meant to aid survival, fructose intake has skyrocketed during the last century, and may be in overdrive due to the high amounts of sugar in the current Western diet. That caveman alarm system? It's still there, every single cell in your body. And mate, it is stuck in the ON position. Every time you have a soft drink, a muffin, or even that healthy juice, you're activating an ancient survival mechanism that thinks you're about to starve to death in the African savanna. Fructose activates a survival switch that tricks the body into thinking it is starving, causing increased hunger, lowered metabolism, insulin resistance, and fat storage. Levels. But here's the kicker. You're not starving. You're sitting in an air-conditioned office in Darwin with a vending machine down the hall. The survival switch has become a survival trap. What this actually looks like, and why you might go, bloody hell, that's me. Let's get real for a second. The foraging response shares similarities with certain behavioral disorders including attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, bipolar disorder, or even aggressive behavior. Sound familiar? Let me paint you a picture. The 3 p.m. sugar crasher. Can't focus on anything. Feeling weirdly aggressive at your computer, desperately hunting the office for another snack, making impulsive decisions, like buying stuff online you don't need. That's not just low willpower, mate. High intake of sugar and high fructose corn syrup causes a hyperactive foraging response that stimulates craving, impulsivity, risk-taking, and aggression. You're literally experiencing a watered-down version of ancient foraging behavior. The weekend binger. One biscuit turns into the whole packet. You know you should stop, but you can't. Afterwards, you feel exhausted and foggy. Next day, you're irritable and can't think straight. Fructose acts on the brain to stimulate a foraging response that includes the stimulation of exploratory behavior, impulsivity, and increased locomotor activity. Studies suggest that the effects are mediated by inhibition of insulin-sensitive areas of the brain involved in self-control, recent memory, and deliberation, such as the cerebral cortex, the hippocampus, and the posterior cingulate cortex. In plain English, the sugar literally shuts down the parts of your brain that help you make good decisions and remember why you wanted to cut back in the first place. The uric acid conspiracy. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. When your body processes fructose, it creates something called uric acid. Most people think uric acid just gives you gout, which it does, and that's painful as hell. But it does so much more. Uric acid is also associated with increased impulsivity, disinhibition, and excitement-seeking in humans that could be considered part of the foraging response. Uric acid can pass freely into the brain where it induces hypothalamic inflammation as a mechanism for inducing leptin resistance. Let me translate. That byproduct of sugar metabolism is literally inflaming your brain, making you more impulsive, and telling your hunger signals to ignore the fact that you've already eaten. It's like having a dodgy mate who keeps egging you on to have just one more beer, except the dodgy mate is inside your own skull. But wait, there's more, and it's not good. The really scary bit? This isn't just about mood swings and expanding waistlines. Chronic and persistent reduction in cerebral metabolism, driven by recurrent fructose metabolism, leads to progressive brain atrophy and neuron loss with all of the features of Alzheimer's disease. Science Daily. That survival switch that's supposed to be temporary? When it's on 24/7 because you're constantly eating sugar, recurring fructose metabolism-driven chronic and permanent decline in cerebral metabolism causes progressive brain atrophy and cell death. Symptoms of Alzheimer's. Yeah. Not exactly a fun retirement plan, is it? The good news, finally. Right, before you go full existential crisis on me, here's the beauty of understanding this. Once you know what's happening, you can outsmart your own brain. See, your ancient ancestors didn't have a choice. When they found honey or fruit, they had to gorge themselves because they didn't know when the next meal was coming. But you? You're not living in a cave. You've got a fridge, a Woolies down the road, and the knowledge that food will still be there tomorrow. The survival switch only activates when you flip it. And the switch is flipped by refined sugars and high fructose corn syrup, processed foods with hidden sugars, fruit juices, sorry, but that healthy OJ is just as bad. Even high glycemic carbs and salty foods, they can be converted to fructose in your body. Your action plan: outsmarting the Stone Age. 1. Whole fruit is your mate. Small amounts of fructose in whole fruits are neutralized by fiber and antioxidants. Levels: an apple? Good. Apple juice? That's just sugar water with a marketing degree. 2. Read labels. Like a detective, sugar has more aliases than a criminal on the run. Sucrose, HFCS, agave nectar, rice syrup, maltose. If it ends in O's, it's probably trying to flip your switch. 3. Break the cycle. The first few days without excess sugar are rough. That's your survival response throwing a tantrum. But after about a week, your brain chemistry starts to reset. The cravings fade. The mood swings settle. Your actual personality shows up again. 4. Move your body. Gentle. Zone 2. Exercise for 45+ minutes can restore mitochondrial numbers and function, reversing fatigue and metabolic damage from chronic switch activation. Levels. In other words, go for a bloody walk, mate. Your mitochondria will thank you. 5. Recognize the signs. When you feel that urgent craving, that impulsive urge to demolish a whole block of chocolate, that's not hunger. That's not even you. That's a 50,000-year-old survival program designed for a world that no longer exists. Pause. Breathe. Remind yourself. I'm not starving in the savannah. I'm just experiencing an outdated biological response to refined sugar. The bottom line: sugar does not cause these behaviors. It's just a contributing factor. Your genes, your environment, your stress levels, your sleep, they all matter. But understanding this evolutionary survival pathway gives you a massive advantage. You're not weak. You're not lacking willpower. You're just a brilliantly designed survival machine that's accidentally been fed the biological equivalent of emergency, emergency, emergency signals 3 times a day for the past 20 years. Now that you know what's really going on, you can make informed choices. You can recognize when your brain is trying to pull a fast one on you. You can take back control from that hyperactive caveman who lives in your hypothalamus and keeps screaming, "Eat all the things." VitaChoice is promised to you. At VitaChoice, we live by 3 principles. Charity, not profit. We're not here to sell you expensive supplements or fad diets. We're here to share knowledge that empowers you. Science over suffering. These aren't just theories. This is peer-reviewed research from top universities explaining real mechanisms in your body. Wisdom for well-being. Knowledge without action is just trivia. We want you to use this information to build a healthier, happier, more balanced life. Your challenge. For the next 2 weeks, I challenge you to this. 1. Notice when the survival switch tries to flip. Just notice it. Don't judge yourself, just observe. 2. Cut out one major source of added sugar. Just one. Pick the easiest target. 3. When you feel that foraging impulse kick in, go for a walk instead. Move your body. Give those mitochondria something useful to do. That's it. Small changes. Real science. Actual results. Because at the end of the day, you're not a caveman. You're a modern human with a modern brain that deserves better than being hijacked by an ancient alarm system every time you walk past a bakery. So, what do you reckon? Ready to outsmart your inner caveman? She'll be right, mate. You've got this. For more information and free resources, visit vitachoice.org.au. Together, we're building a healthier Australia, one informed choice at a time. References. This presentation is based on peer-reviewed research published in Evolution and Human Behavior, Johnson et al. 2020, Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society B, Johnson et al. 2023, and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Johnson et al. 2023, among other leading scientific journals. Take care of yourselves and remember, science isn't the enemy of enjoying life. It's the tool that helps you enjoy it longer and better. Cheers, VitaChoice, your partner of health and happiness.